than the rhino, these Pere David Deer are so rare they've been declared critically endangered. There's just a handful left in the world, and 7 of them are at Longleat. They're the remnants of a herd that's had a very strange history. The species comes from China, where they became extinct over a century ago. Just a few survived in captivity, and in 1893 they all ended up in the grounds of Woburn Abbey.
This herd of about 300 lives on the Duke of Bedford's estate at Woburn. They died out in China when the walls of the park were breached by floods in 1894. There were only 5 left in the world, which were all collected at Woburn, and from them the present flock has grown.
In the 1980s, Woburn gave 20 Pere Davids to Longleat. Deputy Head Warden Ian Turner is proud that they were then able to contribute to a scheme to reintroduce them to the wild.
There wasn't any left in the wild, and then Woburn and Longleat, I think Whipsnade also were involved, sent some back to China.
That was in 1986, and it hit the headlines.
The 6 o'clock news from the BBC.
The animals that we're sending are reasonably wild and hard to approach, and I think that they will adapt very quickly to the new environment, and within perhaps a generation or two will be as wild as any deer are.
What about the journey? Is that going to be safe for them?
It's going to be a difficult journey, both for the people and for the deer. There's no point ducking that one. It's a long trip. We're flying them direct to Shanghai, and then putting them onto trucks, and then taking them overland 400 kilometres north to the site where they'll be released.
Unfortunately, after sending some of their deer to China, Longleat's remaining herd was plagued by illness. They went into a long decline, from 15 to just 6 animals. They're now all healthy, though they look a bit scruffy at the moment because they're shedding their winter coats. The herd's main problem is that their dominant stag turned out to be infertile. They do have another male, but he's young and suppressed by the senior stag. It looked like the Pere Davids were just going to fade away. But now, the keeper in charge of the deer, Tim Yeo, has spotted something.
The last few days, certainly, have given me sort of hope. I mean, there are a couple of young hinds that are looking to me as though they are possibly in calf, but I need to keep watching. It is a difficult thing to actually say whether they are or they aren't.
Tim is desperate to get a closer look at the 2 young females, and takes his vehicle into the enclosure. But the Pere Davids move away. It may be that from past experience, they associate Tim with trouble, medical checks and so on.
I think they have become, certainly, to recognise me. They seem to. I mean, it's strange because they do become, as some of the other animals do, they become used to the sound of a certain vehicle. Usually, you know, I can just get a look at them before they make off.
With so few of these animals left anywhere in the world, every pregnancy is important. For Longleat, new babies would mean that their herd was back from the brink, playing its part again to help stop the species from sliding into extinction.
This is certainly very much my hope that this year, fingers really crossed, you know, that we do have a hind or even better 2 hinds in calf. It's early days. I'm hopeful though for what I'm seeing, but I hope it's just not me wanting it a little bit too much.
But just a few days later, Tim made a sad discovery. When he went up in the morning, he could tell that something had happened to one of the 2 young females.
The hind, to me, had obviously calved from the look of her. I hunted for a calf and found, sadly, a dead calf. You know, it was a great shock and an awful shame. It's so frustrating when you go, you know, a full pregnancy and then to lose the calf in the birth.
That leaves just one hind who may still be pregnant, the last hope for the Pere David Deer. We'll find out what happens with her later on.